So we're in a new season. And when I say we're in a new season, I'm not speaking of, I'm not saying that literally, like, winter, spring, summer, fall. I'm not saying that literally. I'm saying it spiritually. We're in a new season. And the reason why I feel, the reason why I'm saying that is because as we move and navigate this earthly realm, this physical realm, really what we're doing is we're navigating this realm in the physical, but really it is a spiritual experience. So there's physical navigation, physical terrain, but we're having a spiritual experience. And we must keep that. We must be completely and utterly present in that knowing. We cannot get distracted in the things of the external. We cannot. We use the external. We use the things that we engage, the situations, the experiences that we engage in the physical, to learn the spiritual lesson and to tap in to higher levels of our spiritual power. I'm going to say that again. We are navigating this physical plane, but we are using the things that we are engaging in the physical, and we're navigating it in the physical to evolve and tap deeper into our spiritual power. I think sometimes we get it twisted. I think we get so bombarded, so distracted, so consumed by these earthly experiences, these day-to-day experiences, when really that is the least of our concern. Now, somebody may say, well, how is that the least of our concern? My car note is due tomorrow, and I don't have the money that I need to pay my car note. My rent is due, or my rent is past due, and I just got a letter on my door, and I'm short. And there's nowhere that I see that the money is coming in sight. So how am I not supposed to be concerned about that? Well, let me explain. First and foremost, these things are happening only because that's where your focus is. Okay. I'm gonna break this down. When your focus are in these modalities, then that is when you keep attracting that energy. So if you are submerged or immersed in 3D activity, then it's going to beget 3D activity. Now, does that mean, okay, oh, I'm a spiritual being, I won't ever have or come in, have to, come in contact with any type of financial hardship or hell no. But here's the difference. When you are moving from your spiritual center and you are living your life and navigating this plane from your inner space, then when you do experience life's challenges, obstacles, hardships, there is a natural transmutation process that happens because you're living from a space of wisdom. So my baby say, act like you've been here before. Act like you've been here before. Right? And when he says that, he's saying we don't shake in our boots over these physical simplicities, these challenges and obstacles. We don't shake in our boots. You know why? Because we move and we navigate from a spiritual place of knowing that we're carrying ourselves. Our higher selves, God, our universe, whatever you want to call it, is carrying us. So we're housing God within us. So how is it that we're housing God within us, but then we allow these earthly simplicities to move us to a point of being immersed and submersed in the simplicities of it? And the reason why I say simplicity is because it ain't hit no shit. It ain't hit no shit. When you weigh up whatever you're dealing with on your gig, you know what I'm saying, whatever you're dealing with in your household, your children, issues that you may be having with your spouse, issues that you may be having on the job, even in issues you may be having with your own business, because we're not going to act like we don't, we're not residing in a dual plane. That's what I don't understand. Like, I hear a lot of, spiritualists and people out here talking and this, that, and the third, and it be sounding like, either number one, it's extreme love and light, like you don't have to engage in any. We are in a dual plane. And then we are not. But let me show you how we're not. We actually reside in a plane of duality. Yes. But the way that you do not exist in a plane of duality is through transmutation. You transmute it. Meaning you stay in your center and you know that God is within you. God is living. You are a vessel. And you are housing God within you. You are a whole universe within yourself. So you are housing Source within you. So as a houser, as a vessel, as being one with Source, there is no separation. There's no separation. So if you are a powerful, omnipresent, omnipotent being, then how is it that you are completely thrown under over a fucking car note, house note, issue with your spouse, children, so forth and so on? The shit we deal with on this plane. Let me tell you something. On this channel, my thing is to fuck with you, fuck with myself, in a space of bringing spirituality to a practical space and not making it so out of reach. You know, spirituality is this, it's so out of reach. It's simple. It's simple. It is who you are, the energy that you are. Point blank, period. How you move, from what space you move. That is spirituality. It ain't this big bad, oh my God, I gotta, go on this journey and I gotta live this way perfect. No. It is quite the opposite. It is simple. It is really tapping in with yourself. But in order to tap in with yourself, you have to relationship and begin to know yourself. Because yes, there are levels to this shit. There are levels to this shit. And in order to navigate and move, transmute, and see this realm from a bird's eye view, you must fully engage you. How do you use your super? Because as God, we have superpowers. As the vessels that is holding source energy, it comes with superpowers. For most of us, these things aren't anything that we don't know. It's easy to know and know it in theory. It's harder to be the energy. And so that's a lot of what I want to bring it all the way back to one. I want to bring it all the way back to A. In our ABCs, let's just fuck with A. Let's fuck with our base point. Let's bring it all the way back. Because we live in a conceptual space here. And people talk big. But living it, being it, is the true test. We can talk all day how spiritual we are. Oh yeah, I'm doing my meditations. Oh yeah, I had this meditation. Oh yeah. But then in the face of adversity, we fold, we bend like a little bitch. So some of the reasons why we do that, number one, is because we try to go from A to Z without really experiencing the journey and doing the work and understanding what the work is and understanding the path and the journey. And the first thing you gotta understand is, number one, we are spiritual beings having on a spiritual journey, navigating it in the physical. So we are literally God experiencing itself. We are God experiencing itself and its power. And in order to do that in its fullness, there's a few things you gotta do. You can't get around. And one of those things, and I would say really it kind of feels to be, the most important, is you have to know yourself. You have to know yourself. You have to know your own soul. You have to know source. You have to relationship with yourself to know and be able to experience yourself in all of your dimensions. Your spiritual dimension, your emotional dimension, and the physical dimension. It's all one, but you got to be able to know yourself in all your mental dimension, in all of your dimensions. And that takes honesty. That takes a certain amount of work. And that work is pulling away from distractions and making time for you. Making time for you. Getting in your own space. And one of this realm's ultimate or biggest priorities is to keep you away from yourself. Maybe that's mission number one. Keep you away from you. Keep you away from you. I was talking to my girls the other day because, man, I have teenagers and I have them on, they have to turn their phones in at a certain time. And trust and believe, this has been one of the hardest things to really enforce is screen time. Okay? Because I'm not talking about little kids. You know what I'm saying? I'm talking about, teenagers. And and they can't understand, how, and let me just say this. They do understand because my kids, grew up in a spiritual environment. I've always, even before I really, quote unquote, say, I was on my spiritual journey. Once you really go back and look back through memory lane, go back on memory lane, you realize you've always been on a journey. It just comes a point to where you are aware of it. You know what I'm saying? So you've always been on a journey. Like, you can really start you going back in the recesses of your mind, and you'll be like, oh shit, yeah, I was on this. I used to talk about that. Oh yeah, I was. So you've always been on this journey. It's just that it comes a point to where, you become aware that you're conscious, that you are on the journey. So you're moving now from a space of awareness, from more of that bird's eye view, from more of that conscious space. So my kids have always been brought up in a spiritual environment. But like most parents, I didn't really see in the beginning what this phone shit was about. You know what I'm saying? They came up in the ranks just like everybody else. You know what I'm saying? I ain't one of these niggas that try to pretend that I'm some, oh yes, we upright and vegan. My kids have been vegetarian their whole life. They ain't never ate meat. So there were certain things that I did, and that's not to knock anybody who has, but there's just certain things that I did in practice. We were just different. So they grew up different. Their friends was eating, certain things at lunch. They just knew, nah, that's not how we get down. So they've always grown up a little different. But with this whole phone thing, I didn't fully grasp what was happening. Okay. So they started with the little, I think the things was called knobbies. They had their little, devices when they were young, the knobbies. And at that time, it was more educational. Hey, listen, let me tell you something. This fucking RAM, this 3D matrix shit is subtle. It is sneaky. It is out to get you. Okay? Point blank, period. I don't get it. Point blank, period. The energy, and those who know me know I deal with spirits. The spirit of this realm is an opposing spirit. It is a spirit of opposition. So it sometimes is subtle. Okay? So started off with the knobby, thought it was some educational. They had their little knobby tablets. Boom. Then we went to iPods. Then, from iPods, they went to phones. Okay? They graduated just like everybody else. I know this is a typical thing. Everybody, was on, right? So, and it's to me in the more recent years, starting especially towards the beginning of the pandemic, what I realize is that these phones, these devices, all we gotta do is listen to ourselves. Listen to the wordplay. These devices. What is a device? I began to realize that these devices were becoming quite not only distracting, but consuming. I could call one of my kids in the room and ask them to do something, and by the time they took 3 steps outside of my bedroom, they have forgotten what I've asked them. I know that this is not anything that every other parent in America don't experience. These devices were consuming them. I just recently heard and saw, I think a video went viral about a young 12-year-old boy, and I'm not on social media like that at all. You know what I'm saying? I go on there for specific reasons, and then I'm off, because it is a spirit. Point blank, period. That shit, that scrolling shit. That whole, I'm going to post every single fucking thing that's going on in my life, every ailment, every sad experience. Oh, I'm in the hospital. Like that. That's wild to me. You know, people who be posting pictures, taking selfies of themselves in the hospital. Oh, I'll be all right. That stuff is vampiric, and you must be aware of the spirit of it. And I'll jump into that bag in a minute about spirits. But anyway, I was on there and I saw that it had went viral about this little boy who literally trashed his mother's home. I'm talking about completely. And I'm sure you've seen it. Fucked her whole house up. Broke every TV in the house. Broke up stuff in the baby's room. Broke up stuff in the mama's room. Broke up I'm talking about broke the toilet. Like took something. I was wondering how the 12-year-old, but these kids is huge. They giants. But I'm talking about completely destroyed this woman's whole entire home. Because she had took his phone. We better wake the fuck up and see what kind of spirits we are up against. Not only within ourselves, okay? Yeah, within ourselves. Up against spirits within ourselves, shadow work, okay? AKA, do your shadow work. Also, spirits that are around us that jump into the vessels of those who are around us, including our children. Okay? And most times, those vessels jump in our children by way of these devices. So, my girls, they have screen time. And I have, a lot of people would be like, wait, you got a 16-year-old screen time? Hell yes. Hell yes. Because those phones is trying to tell them who they are. So though they don't even have the time space within themselves to figure out who they are, because they constantly have something telling them who they are. And me as a parent has to use my inner wisdom to combat that shit. Because we are raising, that's why it's this Generation Z. Don't get it twisted. People laugh and make fun. Generation Z is for zombie. It's because it is true. There's no sense of self. You can't get to know yourself because you're constantly distracted with somebody else throwing the image of what it's supposed to look like to you based on society's everything. Based on society's expectations, its standards. So there's screen time. We take the motherfucking phones. And we need to be taking them more. So the whole reason I went into the whole talking about taking the girls' phones was because the other day I was in the car and I was talking to them about the reason why I take their phones, the reason why we take their phones. And I was telling them, listen, this world, this is what I told them, and this is what I'm sharing with you in hopes that it will resonate. And for those that it resonate with, beautiful. Beautiful. For those that it doesn't, maybe it will in the future, or maybe it's just not for you. You take what's for you and you keep it moving. But I was telling them that this world is here to distract you from you. And the phones, you know, friends, all of that is cool in its place. In its place. But what happens is, and this don't just happen with kids, this happens with us adults even more, because we even have more on our plates. We have jobs and careers and businesses and you know, all of these little these little 3D mundane, you know, gnats. We have all of these things, so it happens even more. It's more apparent in us adults that we're so distracted. We've become so distracted that we now look to be distracted. Hear me out. We have become so distracted that we now look to be distracted. We now need distractions. We need the stimulation of being distracted from our own selves. So when kids are gone and we do have moments to ourselves, most of us don't even know what to fucking do with ourselves. We don't even know what to do. We don't even know what to begin to do, because we have been so bombarded with external things that we have literally neglected our inner world. We've neglected ourselves to the point to where we prefer, we've gotten to a place, some of us have gotten to a place that, no, I don't like to be alone. I'm not talking about me. I'm not talking about me. I'm saying some of us have literally gotten to the space where, I don't want to be alone. We're looking for things to fill the spaces that we're not willing to fill within ourselves, that's empty within. We're looking for things to fill those spaces, whether it's looking for a man, a boyfriend, a girl, whether it's trying to, you all up in your nigga's face, wondering what he doing, where he at, who he talk, he can't even breathe because you need something to fill your inner space so you feel it completely and wholly with what's going on with him, and then wonder why you always on the chase. As it is within, so it is without. So we're trying to fill up the spaces. I gotta do something. I gotta get somewhere, take some selfies. I gotta look like I'm doing something, even if I ain't doing nothing. I gotta move around. I'm just always on. I'm always on the run. I'm always doing something. I'm always occupying the space with frivolous things. Never tapping in and taking advantage and being balanced with my space, because it is led and pulled and filled with all of these external things. And then I wonder why I feel empty, because you ain't putting in You didn't put in on this, Craig. You didn't put in on this spirit. So then when it's time to navigate these terrains, you got nothing. And it has you by the ass. You got nothing. Ain't no fortitude, ain't no wherewithal, ain't no sense of power, ain't no goddamn balls, ain't no nothing. Because you keep your space filled up with things of the mundane. So then when the mundane turn around, it's time to kick that ass. You get your ass whooped. Because you ain't been working out. You ain't been working out. You ain't been doing the work. Anyway, back to what I was telling my girls. So, some of us, I was telling them like, yo, you gotta check in, bruh. Because this is how I talk to them. I used to but that, yo, bruh. Because that's how, you know, it's how these little niggas talk, yeah. You gotta check in, bruh. You got to check in. You cannot, be out here completely flimsy. Even in this world, even as a young buck, you better start putting in. You better put in. You better work out. You cannot occupy your space with scrolling on Instagram and looking at everybody else, what they doing, what they got going on, and trying to find your sense of self through the device. I was telling them, because what happens too is what happens is because we are vessels that God dwells within, okay? God is within us. Then what happens is when we do turn to ourselves, we are so big. We are so big. Our universe is so full that it's almost we too much to even fuck with ourselves. It's too much. Most people don't fuck with themselves because it's too much. They ain't did no shadow work. They ain't tapped into the beauty of what's within. They ain't checked in. They ain't did no workouts. It's just, so by the time you get ready to just even tap in a little bit and fuck with yourself a little bit, it's overwhelming. It's too much. It's too much. Because you ain't been putting in. So then it's like, yeah, you know what? I'm going to leave that alone. Because this is me. I'm too much. I'm too much to deal with. It's too much unhealed shit going on with me. I'm still dealing with a lot of trauma. I ain't did no shadow work. I hadn't did no healing. I hadn't tapped in with myself. And God knows I just been scrolling and taking selfies and doing everything on the surface. But when I have to now tap in and spend a little time with myself, it's too much. So you know what I do? You know what? Nah, I'm not gonna meditate. I'm gonna just, jump on the gram. I'm gonna watch a movie. I'm gonna get on the phone and holler at some girlfriends, or I'm gonna go eat. We've become lazy at doing our work. that is the most important work. Yeah, this society is built to make you think that the most important work is what you should be doing with slaving so you can pay your bills. Yeah, of course. This society is built on money, wealth. And you are nothing but cattle. So yeah, the whole game is to make you feel like you here only to, subject yourself on these fields, you know what I'm saying? So that you can pay your bills and make sure that they maintain their wealth and power. Meanwhile, them motherfuckers is somewhere meditating and putting into themselves, however they choose to do it. And you out here giving them all of your energy and have absolutely none for yourself. Nathaniel for yourself. None for yourself. And then wonder why you getting beat up, bruised, knocked around by life. Because you're not able to stand and see it and transmute it and be like, not boo, are you fucking kidding me? I got so much power that while you trying to work against me, I already see you. Therefore, because I see you, I can call you by your name and tell you you hold no power with me. Okay, cool. Yes, something happened. My bank account is down to $15 and I got rent. I got all these bills. I get it. Guess what? I carry me, boo. And I've done my work. So I got enough within me to sustain, to know that this shit is already worked the fuck out. You hold no power. You're not getting ready to pull me into whatever energy, low ass frequency you trying to get me to live in. Like I am not victorious over this whole fucking shit. I'm getting whatever the lesson is I'm supposed to get out of this. Oh, that's what I'm supposed to get? Got it. Now keep it the fuck moving. And when you putting into yourself, you can speak to this shit. And guess what it's gonna do? Just like a little bitch ass spirit, it's going to flee. The spirit will flee. It cannot stand against the power of God. It cannot. It just can't hold up. It can't hold up. I'm sorry. It cannot hold up. When you move in authority and you know that you can move in authority because you have backed it up with the work. The work of tapping into yourself, knowing yourself, loving yourself, developing, seeing how these things, these physical, these external things, these external situations, seeing how they have really been there so that you can tap into the lessons of them. And every time you learn those lessons, now boom, you now is processing that lesson. You become what you've learned. You've become the resolve because you understand it. So now there's an integration within yourself. And the more you do it, the more you deal with these obstacles and these trials and these conflicts and these challenges, and you deal with them in the space. Oh, okay, I got it. I've learned that lesson. I now know. So now I'm integrating with the understanding or the understanding of what now I am supposed to do. how I'm supposed to navigate this. And then on top of that, my devices, okay, is taking my salt baths, giving myself time, going into meditation, just sometimes lying there and being quiet with myself, loving myself by putting up the proper boundaries and not letting motherfuckers overstep their boundaries with me. Understanding more and more of who I am, what I need, what my needs are, how I need to feed myself, engage myself in all of my spaces. When you are doing the work, working out physically so that your physical vessel is able to sustain and maintain the housing, because that's its job. It's the house, the actual external house. So to make sure you don't have leaky roofs and busted pipes and mildew and mold, you got to sustain your house. You housing God. So we got to sustain our house. So that's a part of the work on the physical. Then the spiritual work is making sure we're tapping in and we're moving from our inner space. But you can't just do that if it's not built on a solid foundation. And the foundation is know thyself. Point blank, period. Know thyself. Not know the bitch on Instagram and everything she doing and all of the pictures and shit the shit she's portraying and the persona that she's portraying. Not knowing what's going on fucking CNN, MSNBC. I don't even know the name of them shits. Fox News. That ain't know thyself. Know thyself. Relationship with yourself. Talk to yourself. Love on yourself. Begin to understand yourself so that you know how to navigate your inner world so that you can properly navigate the outer world. Because at the end of the day, God and us are one. There is no separation. We are God, experiencing ourselves. We are the soul having a physical experience. And it is big in every sense of itself. It is big. It is overwhelming. It is an experience. It is, we are God. We're versions, pieces, all experiencing it. But it's really one thing, one. And so it is big, but it's fun to navigate. It's fun because you're getting to know yourself. You're becoming more and more aware. And the more you live in this inner realm, the more that you move from this inner realm, the smaller these things, these mundane things become. The smaller they become. They become so minute and insignificant. And you're able to see right through it. You're able to see right through it. You can see the spirit. You can see the spirit that's trying to attack. You can see it all. And then you can literally pull from your inner strength, your inner God. And you can armor up and you know how to navigate You know how to engage. Sometimes you gotta engage it direct. And you know what happens? When you really locked in, you can see it, and then you can engage that spirit, call its name. Call its name. Call it for what? Oh, I see. Oh, I see. You can call its name. Oh, and guess what? When you get in that bag with it, them spirits start fleeing. Pew, pew. That's what me and baby, we joke about that all the time. It's just like, let me give you an example. And I'm gonna close this thing up. It's just like somebody been talking about you or bashing you, saying some bullshit about you or what have you. And, you know, you go and confront the person. How many times have something, so-called fucked up or something somebody said and you went and confronted them, and then they go to stuttering. You know what that is? That's the spirit. Pew, pew. Spirit done jumped in the vessel, and then as soon as you call it out and call out its name, then guess what? That spirit leave that vessel so fast, and now the vessel just sitting in there, now got a fan for itself. That's why you better fucking armor up and never be used by these spirits. Because it can be it happens the other way around too. Don't get it twisted. When you in a low frequency, and you sitting up here just on social media all the goddamn gone time, being a looking ass nigga, and you on social media and you doing all, and you're always looking for distractions, you're one of those vessels that are easily used and manipulated for spirits to just jump in your vessel and use you to be in some mess or find yourself in a situation. And then when you get caught up in that, then the spirit hop out, and now you there left to have to fend for yourself, and you were weak before the vessel flew in you, and you weak now. So it ain't nothing in you. Ain't nothing sustainable in you. So now you that's not what I meant. Because motherfuckers can talk mad dog shit behind a motherfucker's back. But let a motherfucker have to really deal with some real conflict. That spirit, pew, gone. Now you sitting there, yeah, exactly. That's what I thought. Fuck out of here. Your ass the fuck out of here. I'm telling y'all. I'm telling you. You don't deal with it. Look. That Bible is a metaphysical book. You know what I'm saying? You have to know how to translate it. We wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against the principalities of darkness. That's all. That's literally what it's saying. We ain't dealing with these folks. We're dealing with folks. We're dealing with spirits. Spirits that's in folks, spirits that jump in folks, spirits that use folks as vessels to do their dirty work. And when you tighten up, and when you do your work, and when you know yourself, you can't get hemmed up. And when you call it by its name, and you do it in the power of knowing from your soul, and it's deep, and your shit is deeply rooted in a sincere and pureness of, I'm real about my work, don't fuck with me, them spirits go to fleeing. On God. On God. Them spirits can't hang. They can't hang. It's too much power. It's too much power. So My challenge to you is to make sure you are taking up your own space. That was my word for my girls. You take up your space. It's big. Your space is infinite. It's infinite. That's why I call it big. It's you are a whole universe in and of yourself. Your space is infinite. You be the one to take up your space. You don't allow these devices, these things that are meant to be diversions away from yourself. Whether it's people, whether it's social media, it's places, whether it's, you want to save the fucking world, Captain Save-A-Hole, and you use that as a diversion, because that's another thing. We'll talk about that another day. Some of us, so caught up in morality, we even use that as a diversion to take up space when we should be taking up our own space so you could truly be the God, helping and aiding others in a real space, not in a conceptual one. Ultimately, I'm saying take up your space. You're here and you are an infinite, abundant space, universe. We all are just all of these multiple universe housing pieces, aspects, portions of the one God. Because we're experiencing as God, we're experiencing the physical. And we're here to evolve and to elevate and to become more and more aware. And that is a multidimensional space. It's infinite. It's infinite. So just like it's infinite, that means it's infinite power. There is no limitation. There is no limits of the power that is within you. Don't get tricked by this bullshit. Don't get tricked by this. I don't care how grim. I don't care how tired you get. I know, trust me. You cannot be in the space of victim. You must utilize the power that is within you. But that power must be built up. You got to stock up. And there's things that you must do with yourself in order to stock up. You stock it up just like a video game. You know what I'm saying? I think what is that game? I forget that real popular ass game, Fortnite. They drink them drinks. You see their energy come all the way up. You got to stock up. And so that means you got to put in the work, put in the time. Go and exercise, jump into a meditation, live in your inner space. You know what I'm saying? Close your eyes and be at peace with yourself. Get to know yourself, relationship with yourself, love yourself, know yourself. That's stocking up. Because when you know yourself, you're able to look at these external things for what they are. And you don't get bamboozled. You don't get led astray. This shit can't run amok on you because you get it. You see it. You know the value that is within you and the power that is within you. So you know that all things work together for your good. It's the lessons that you're learning that is helping you to evolve and to magnify and to radiate, because we are infinite spiritual beings. So all this little bullshit is nothing but that little bullshit. Get the fuck out of here. You can hold your own and stand in it with authority.